Hello again, welcome to Shed Talk, the weekly magazine style video series looking at the keeping, breeding and showing of cage birds, with a particular focus as always on the exhibition style budgerigar. And as the title of this episode suggests, we're going to talk about what I've got planned in the shed and outside the shed in the month of November. Well, before we start, I just wanted to mention that at the end of October we lost a very big name, I suppose, in the world of budgerigar breeding, exhibition style budgerigar breeding, particularly here in the UK, with the passing of Mr. Jeff Cates. Jeff was a well-known figure in the sporting world. He was a shot putter and I think a champion at strongman, but he was also a well-known budgerigar breeder and won a number of major awards within the field of budgerigars, and a great ambassador to the hobby. I was lucky enough to meet him just once, and that was at a Northampton show which he attended a few years ago, and whilst I wouldn't say we were friends, I found him very approachable, and he was more than happy to speak to me about his thoughts around budgerigars and some of the birds that were on the show. So I know the hobby will miss him, and I obviously give my condolences to his family, friends and all those who knew him. So the other thing I wanted to do is just say a big thank you to Reading Cage Bird Society. Over the last weekend, the weekend just gone, I was down there. They very kindly invited me to judge the budgerigar and the foreign section. There weren't that many exhibition style budgerigars, but there were a couple that were, quite nice. But there were lots and lots of budgerigars of colour to choose from, and some of those were really, really nice. And I think the winner was a lovely looking golden face albino. So an albino golden face, sorry. And yeah, very, very nice budgerigar of colour. And there were some lovely birds in the foreign section. Now, I don't claim to be an expert on foreign birds, so I had to, look up quite a lot of the specifications for those birds and what the judging standard was prior to going to the show. I hope those people who entered their foreign birds at Reading were relatively pleased with the way I judged them, and there was a very, very worthy winner that was a Java finch that was in absolutely brilliant condition. It was feather perfect. So well done to those of you who entered that show, and to those of you who were the winners. Running alongside that show was the Southern Counties Fife Championship, I think it was. Yes, Southern Counties Fife Championship, and a big thank you to Dave Toval, who gave me a lift to the show so that I could judge it, and he was showing at that particular show. So okay, a big thank you to Dave for giving me the lift, and a big thank you to for those of you for the hospitality of Reading Cage Bird Society. So November, what have we got going on here in November? Well, there are two I say two major things, but of course the big thing is, of course, we're going to carry on with the breeding of the budgerigars, but we won't be covering too much of that in this episode. We'll hold that off until the next one, but thanks to all those of you who watched the last video and hit the like button. It was very well received in terms of the number of likes and the number of people watching it, and so of the last few episodes actually. So a big thank you to all those of you who have taken the time to hit the like button, some recent subscribers, seen a slight increase in, and those of you who take the time to comment. So the breeding will be continuing, but more about that in the next episode. There are two main areas in November that I have to think about, and I'm doing one of those at the moment in the shed, and that is preparation for firework night. Now, for those of you in the UK, you will know what firework night is. For those of you that watching this from further afield, November the 5th is firework night or bonfire night, and it dates back years and years and years to when a number of Catholics tried to assassinate the Protestant King of England and tried to blow up Parliament. So, and every 5th of November we remember that. So, and we've got that coming up. The problem, of course, is that it involves quite a lot of fireworks and goes on for some time. So we've got Halloween, which people tend to now start of firework night on the and then after Halloween we've then got firework night, which of course seems to go on for weeks and weeks and weeks now, rather than just the one day. And of course the noise from the fireworks and the flashes in the sky from the fireworks can impact on the birds, particularly when you've got breeding pairs down like I have. So there's, I suppose, the main well, the two main problems really are, first of all, the noise may frighten some of the birds, and if it's dark, they may injure themselves when they, fly across and hit the wire or hit a perch or hit the top of the cage, that sort of thing. So that's the first problem we've got. And the second problem, of course, is that the noise may cause the hen to come out of the nest box, and then with it being dark may not be able to find the way back in again. So what I will do is, first of all, I will increase the lights on in both this shed and the outside flight, just so that there is some light on there in the evening. Now I won't do that for too long in the outside flight, because what I don't want to do is to force the fifes into an early molt, or for them to think that it's spring and start thinking about breeding. So I will just do that for the main 2 or 3 days either side of the 5th of November. But in here I will leave them on. I will extend the lighting for a good while, probably for about a whole week, or maybe even just over a week, just to get over that big bit, and that will hopefully alleviate the problem of night flight. The other thing I will do in both sheds is I will extend the hours of the radios on as well. I think most of you that watch the show regularly know that I have a radio on throughout the day, in both sheds, in this shed and in the outside shed. Why can't you hear it in the back of the video? I actually have to turn it down when I'm recording, because if I leave it up and it gets picked up by the microphone, even just the faintest sound is picked up by the microphone, then I get a copyright hit on the videos. So and it then restricts how the video can be used. So anyway, so I turn it down when I'm recording. But yes, so I have a radio on in here and a radio on out in the outside flight. Both of those radios are tuned to classic FM, and I've said it before. The main reason for that is because when I got the radios, that was, especially in the outside flight, that was the only channel I could pick up with any regularity. So so I tuned it to that, and I've left it to that, and it's on in both the two versions. Now the good thing, I suppose, a bit of serendipity, is that Classic FM have over the period of fire at night, they have a special feature for pets to help keep pets relaxed. So it's some relaxing classical music that's designed to be relaxing for animals. So during that period, that will be on in the shed. For those of you that aren't aware, so I have the radio on mainly, so that the radio is off just about half an hour before the main lights go off in the shed. And what that allows them to do is the birds hear the radio go off and get used to the fact that shortly after that, within half an hour of that, the lights will go off, and therefore they can do any last feeding, get ready to perch for the night, get ready to roost, and of course the hen can feed any chicks before she gets back into the nest box, and again we'll brood them for the nighttime period. So that's one of the advantages of having the radio on in the shed. So yeah, so that will be extended as well, and hopefully touch wood, we won't lose any birds over the firework night period due to the fireworks. I think last year I did lose a bird, but I couldn't actually put it down to the fireworks. It was one of those very strange ones. Anyway, so that's where we are in terms of the first of the main features for November. What's the second one that's going on? And the other thing that goes on in November is the Oxford 1910 Cage Bird Society annual show. So, and I am the show secretary for that particular club, so there's quite a lot of work involved preparing for that show. And that show is on the 9th of November, so if you happen to be in Oxford for that period, don't forget you can drop in. If you have a look on Facebook, if you're on Facebook, there is a Facebook page for Oxford 1910, the details will be on there. Anyway, so that's the second thing that will be going on for me. It takes quite a lot of work to prepare for that show. Hopefully I'll be able to get some birds out, but sometimes it's quite difficult when you're busy doing the paperwork and all that sort of thing. Sometimes it becomes difficult to actually prepare the birds and give them a decent chance on the show day. So yes, like I say, Oxford 1910 Cage Bird Society is on the 9th of November. What I will do though, even if I can't get any birds there, is I will get some video of the show, and we will have a look at some of the birds that are at that show. Normally it's quite a good show. There's a very good selection of budgerigars, a good selection of fives, a nice variety of other canaries normally there. We get a number of foreign birds there, not so many British. I don't think we've had very many British for a little while, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, so generally a good fair selection of birds at the show, which is always very good news and nice to see. So nice to see a nice selection of birds. But and as I say, we will have that in a future episode. So that's the second thing that's going to keep me busy over the period of November. Well, of course, the other thing that goes on in November, as I've mentioned, is what's going on behind me. So they're continuing with the breeding of the budgerigars. But before I talk very briefly about that, as always, if you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber. If you've enjoyed the video, then please do hit the like button. And as always, don't forget to comment. Let me know how you, particularly in the UK, let me know how you prepare for the fireworks season and what you do around your birds to try and minimise the impact it can have on your bird food. One of those things, isn't it? You don't really want to be the grump who says we should ban fireworks, but on the other hand, it can be a bit of an impact on you. So, like I say, do let me know in the comments. First of all, what you think about the sale of fireworks and anything you do in your bird room to minimise the impact of firework night on your birds, as I say. Right, so in terms of in here then, of course, the main focus is we know from the last episode that we've had birds on eggs, and those of you that follow either the Instagram channel, Shed Talk Instagram channel, or the Shed Talk Facebook page, and if you don't, go over and join both. But if you are following those, you'll know that we have had some, or at least one youngster hatch out. I won't let you know which cage it is. You can wait for the next episode to find out which cage we've had major success in. But we have had a chick hatch, so obviously the thing is to making sure that that we try and maximise the chances of that youngster surviving. And of course then we've got to think about how we go about ringing the birds, and of course the first few that hatch out, assuming we get a few that hatch out, will of course be on this year's ring, so they'll be on a 2024 ring rather than next year's ring, the 2025 ring, because those won't be released until December. And I think I got my request for rings in a bit late, so I may not get those until after Christmas. So but anyway, the early rounds will have the older rings on them, which isn't really a major problem from my point of view. So that's what the breeding will, like I say, we will have a big look at how the breeding is going in the very next episode. Well, that just about brings us to the end of another episode. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to hit the like button. And in the next episode, we will have a full roundup of all the breeding cages, and we'll have a good look at how those that are on eggs and those that have chicks are doing. But until then, as always, do stay safe, enjoy your birds.